magic. It's actually a remote. But anyways, speaking of magic, as you can tell by the title of this video, it is about Hocus Pocus 2. To quickly get into it, there were speculations a couple years ago that they were doing a sequel. Disney denied it. Then recently there was something about Tina Fey writing a script to it, a sequel, and then that was later denied. I think it was because budget, like blockbuster views, I guess, it didn't do so well. But it's a cult classic, so who knows, maybe they'll do like a TV made for movie or something like that. And everybody thinks they're a writer nowadays, and I'm one of them. Actually, I don't consider myself a writer. This is just a fan fiction of what I would like to see the story continue. I watched the first movie as a kid, and I liked it. I didn't really grasp the concept, and then as an adult, I actually watched it and actually paid attention to it a couple years ago, and was just like, this is an awesome movie. Like, it's got a little bit of everything in it. So I started Twitter, started following Bette Midler, Kathy and Jimmy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Makes me sound really crazy. Just to see if there was any update about anything, and nothing. So I, a couple of months ago, started writing a script idea for Hocus Pocus 2, and my concept was about Allison and Max actually having a child, and what would happen if that child was going to bring him back, like, you know, that type of thing. And I was like, that's an awesome idea. Like, yeah, why didn't someone else think about that? So I sent the idea to Bette Midler and Kathy and Jimmy on Twitter, and I didn't get anything back because celebrities are something about you. Like, it's very rude. Like, people send them thousands of tweets all the time, I'm sure. But I feel like they almost avoid them. Like, I don't know. But anyways, it's just probably a personal view on it. But Kathy and Jimmy kind of answered me in a way, because I posted it on like a Saturday to her, and it wasn't until like maybe the following Thursday or something she posted on Twitter, to those fans who continue to send Bette Midler and I ideas for Hocus Pocus 2. We have no control over that movie. You would have to talk to the movie executives for that. So I was kind of, I guess that answered my question. But it wasn't to be rude. It was just my way of saying, hey, what do you think about this idea? Like, these are your characters. You are these people. What do you think? And I didn't get that response. So I was just like, you know what? I have a YouTube channel, and I have 130 subscribers. So, damn it, I'm going to make them listen to it. So that's what this is. It's my reading of Hocus Pocus. Before I get started, I'm not an actor. I'm not a screenwriter. I don't pretend to be either one of them. I don't own the rights to Hocus Pocus. The characters, it is fan fiction. So don't sue me, because I don't have anything. And if you're interested in hearing more of the story, I'd be more than happy to maybe post more of it online. If something came of it and, you know, it became this huge blockbuster and everybody loved it, okay, then you saw it here first, because that's where it came from. I'm reading it to you guys, so you're welcome. I have to cut this video down a little bit because I read it earlier. That's kind of why my voice is kind of scratchy, to see how long it would take to read. And yeah, I'm gonna have to speed through it a little bit, but I'm gonna get a drink of water. Whoa, that was vodka, not water. Kidding, it was vodka. I mean, it was water. See? Anyways, the title of this one is called Hocus Pocus 2, Curse of the Black Flame Candle. Original, right? Interior scene, Hocus Pocus, 1693. I started right at the very point of the beginning of the first film. We were in 1693, so we go back to that time for the second one. To read it back and forth, with Winifred Mary, stuff like that, it kind of gets a little old, so I'm going to try and touch on it, but I can't guarantee that all the characters are going to be named before I read what they say, so bear with me. Anyways, Sarah Sanderson is holding a rat. Winifred Sanderson is looking through her book for a spell. Winifred's boyfriend drops a body by the door. The corpse's hands are tied, and he seems to have a rope around his neck. Mary is making what looks to be a stew over the fireplace. Winifred says while she's turning the pages of her book, "Sisters, we need some insurance." Mary dropping a pig's foot into the stew. "You mean like life insurance or broom insurance? Because you know it's cheaper if you bundle them all together. 15 minutes could save us," Winifred says. "Not that kind of insurance. I'm talking about insurance that we will return should we ever meet the same fate Mother did. That's why I had Sarah gather herbs while Billy found a hanged man. My book contains a spell for a candle, one that if lit by a virgin on All Hallows Eve will bring us back to life." Sarah says, "What does the candle smell like?" Winifred says, "The candle does not have a smell. Have you not been listening to me? Billy, bring the hanged man here." Billy carries over the body. Winifred pinches the fat of the dead body and approves. Sarah playing with a dead rat. "Winnie, a child named Emily saw me flying. Luckily, I landed before anyone else noticed me. I was hiding and found this dead rat. Guess that makes it my lucky rat, huh?" Winifred grabs the rat from Sarah and tosses it to Mary. Mary pulls off the tail and then drops it into the boiling stew. Sarah twirling what is left of the rat. "Still have a lucky rat tail. I know just where to put it. If the child speaks of what she saw, the town will suspect witchcraft. They will come to the cottage of the witch they hanged, finding us inside." Mary says, "Sarah could lead the child here. We could roast her, maybe sprinkle her with some basil and garlic." Winifred says, "First we must finish the black flame candle, then we'll take care of the child." Mary is now sampling the stew she's been brewing. Winifred, who boiled the fat from the hanged man, is now molding it into the shape of a candle. Sarah has slipped away, as did Billy Butcherson. Billy says, "Sarah, come away with me. I can take thee away from all this." Sarah says, "I cannot leave my sisters. We just lost our mother." Billy says, "Dark magic has consumed Winifred. I fear it will do the same to thee." Billy grabs Sarah and kisses her. Winifred walks in to find the two in a lover's embrace. Winifred says, "Beware of a harmless snake that lies in thy garden, for it is a treacherous one, and cannot be trusted." Billy says, "I will not let thee turn Sarah into a dark soul." Winifred says, "Billy, I took you to be a wise man. I can clearly see that wise you are not." Billy says, "I am already dead. There is nothing thee can do that could be worse." Winifred says, "There are things so much worse than death. Mark my words, only the worms will hear your tales." Sarah is standing behind Billy. She hits him in the head and he falls to the floor. Winifred, using a dull needle, silences William Butcherson. Winifred, "Sarah, life is filled with difficult choices." She's making a comical struggle to sew Billy's mouth shut. "Doing what must be done to protect thy family is more important. However, if I catch thee doing that again, I will feed your tongues to the crows." Sarah says, "How do we get Billy back into his grave?" Mary says, "Magic, Sarah, geez." Sarah, giggling, says, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Winifred finishes sewing. "There! Mary, bring me my book." Mary walks over to Winifred with her book. Winifred quickly opens the book and the pages spin to the page of a ritual to silence the dead. Winifred closes her book. "Sarah, check his boots for dirt." Sarah, making a puking face. "Here, Winnie, I found some dirt." Mary says, "Why do we need dirt? There's plenty of it on the floor." Winifred says, "In order for this to work, we must sprinkle dirt on him from where he came." Sarah, throwing dirt on Billy. Men. Winifred says, "Sisters, take my hand. Return from whence thee came. Never speak our shame. Dirt and worms will guide thy way, never to see the light of day." Winifred throws the worms on Billy's corpse, and he vanishes, leaving nothing behind. Winifred, making fake tearing. "I will miss him." Mary says, "Have some stew, it will warm thy heart." Winifred says, "My heart does not need stew, it needs life, immortal life." Winifred, "Do thou not want to live forever?" Sarah and Mary both say, "Yes, Winnie." Winifred says, "Then come before the lynch mob grabs their torches." Winifred says, "We must give our life force to the candle." "But Winnie, that means giving up our powers." "And my beauty." "Calm yourself, sisters. We shall give the candle enough of our life, just enough life, and then we will take the life force of a child." As the sisters form a circle, they join hands and touch the candle. I have a candle. The witches begin to spin, aging with each turn until the life force is shown leaving their body. Winifred, Mary, and Sarah saying at the same time, "Aging is a curse, but death is worse. Take thy essence and thy powers, burning forth the candle hours. A virgin thus thee do require to bring about our final hours." The candle ignites for a moment, showing their spell is complete. Winifred says, "Sisters, look, the spell works." Sarah says, "We are hideous." Mary says, "Speak for thyself, sister." Winifred, Mary stopped the potion. Sarah, fetch me this Emily. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second. I am not an actor. I apologize, but you get the point. I started it there because in the first one we get to see Sarah luring a child, Emily, to the house. So we figure out why she picked Emily. It's because she saw her flying and they're wrapping it up. We also figure out in the first one they are really old when we see them. Now, if they're witches and have magic powers, why didn't they do this potion before? So this kind of explains why. Because, you know, they were young before, they gave their power to the candle to stay alive, and then it aged them. So they had to use it. So see, connection. Then I skip ahead into the future. I wrote this last year. I've been writing on it, but last year I started it, and it says 2015. So even if something was to become of this, not saying that it will, but if it did, there's no way that it could be 2015 because it wouldn't probably start or anybody paying attention to it until like next year. So just bear with the dates because I just wrote it just because. Interior of the Denison house, early morning, October 30th, 2015. A female voice is heard calling for her book. Allison is startled by the sound. As she turns the light off in the bathroom and continues. I just read that completely wrong. A female's voice is heard calling for her book. Allison is startled by the sound. She is turning off the light in the bathroom as she closes the door. Allison walks down the hallway and comes to the last door on the right and slowly reaches for the doorknob. Zachary, sweetheart, are you awake? Allison enters her son's bedroom. His room is orange with solar planets on the wall. Stick-on stars begin to fall on the floor from the ceiling. Allison bends down and picks one up. After she steps on it, she quickly walks over to her son's bed and gently wakes him. He turns over and smiles at her. Allison says, "Good morning, birthday boy. You're officially a teenager. How did you let me get so old?" Zachary says, "You're so beautiful, Mom. Do I get my presents now?" Allison says, "Flattery will not work on me, young man. You will get them after school at your surprise birthday party." Dad isn't very good at keeping surprise birthday parties. Allison says, "No, he's not. Hence the surprise birthday party. Now get up and get ready and join us for breakfast." Allison kisses Zachary on the forehead and then closes the door. Allison joins Max downstairs where he has made a mess of the dining room table with newspaper articles. Allison grabbing a coffee cup from the cabinet. This is my coffee cup. Max, did you hear anything this morning when you were getting ready? Max says, "Only the sound of you snoring like a buzzsaw." Ha ha, very funny. It must be that time of year. My nerves always get the best of me. I can't seem to keep anything in my stomach. I must be getting sick or something. Max says, "Guess we better stock up on salt." Allison says, "Researching for another book?" "No, I was thinking since we're going to reopen the Sanderson Museum, I would use some of my articles on the witches for the tour." Allison says, "How did I let you talk me into reopening that old place?" Max says, "After the mayor threatened to have the place torn down for developmental purposes, we agreed to reopen it to the public so that it is a viable business." Allison turns up the volume on the television in the kitchen. The news reporter is talking about two survivors of a Halloween prank 20-some years ago. That's my remote. News reporter. "I'm here talking with two men who fell victim to a horrible Halloween joke 20-some years ago. Their names are Jay and Ernie. Ice. They have quite a story to tell." Jay says, "Well, my bud Ice and I were eating some candy when these three old women came up to us and tricked us into returning to their house. They kept us in a cage above a huge cauldron. I think they really believed they were witches." Ice says, "Yeah, one of the crazies kept smelling my shoes. A friend of mine had loaned them to me earlier that afternoon." Jay and Ice both say, "Thankfully our pals came and got us down. I think it was a joke to get people to talk about the Sandersons." The news reporter says, "Well, did it ever? Countless reports were filed that night, some that even included vandalism of the local Jacob Bailey High School. More on this story as the Halloween season gets into full swing, starting with the reopening of the Sanderson Sisters Museum. Back to you guys." Allison mutes the TV as the reporter ends her segment. Max says, "If you ask me, we should have left them there." Zipping up an orange lunchbox, Allison says, "That would be a great lesson to teach your son. Speaking of, Zach, you're going to be late." Allison says, Zach says, laying on the bed holding a sticker-covered handheld video game, "I'm coming. I've almost beat the last level." Allison says, this family's had enough adventure to last 300 years. Get down here. Max, sitting at the dining room table, surrounded by articles on the Sanderson sisters. How is the birthday boy? When I checked on him, he was out like a light. Allison said, he was awake. I told him to get dressed and join us for breakfast. Max says, what time is this party? Allison says, it's right after school lets out. His friend's mother, Carol, is going to pick him up for us. That way we have time to get everything set up before he arrives back home. Max says, he's going to love the new video game I picked up for him. Allison says, he's been playing those a lot. He's been playing those video games a lot lately. I think it's because that Randy kid was picking on him at school. He doesn't want to talk to me about it. You should try talking to him. Max closes the computer while walking over to wrap his arms around Allison's waist. He's a innocent. We're tough. Bullies don't scare us. Allison, laughing at Max. Sure they don't, Hollywood. Randy's mother had made her son apologize for what he had said and done to Zachary. She is coming to the school to meet Zachary. She looks at the clock. We have to go. We're going to be late. Zachary! Standing in the kitchen behind his parents, Zachary says, what? I'm ready. Max, turning to face his son, says, happy birthday, buddy. Zach says, thanks. Did you get the new video game I mentioned weeks ago? Max says, I was totally going to buy it for you, but your mom told me not to get it. Zachary says, but Mom, you promised. If I kept up my grades, you would let me get it. Max says, giving a cheeky grin, yeah, Mom, why don't you let him have the game? Allison says, nice, make me the bad guy. Zach, we'll see what gifts you get at the party. Now let's go. Max says, but if you were to get said video game, I call first dibs. Zach says, so that means you bought it? Max, looking at the open door to the study, says, I'm not saying a word. Who's been in the study? Zach, playing his video game. I thought I heard a woman's voice coming from there earlier. It must have been Mom. Allison says, while putting Zachary's lunchbox into his backpack. It was probably when I was looking for my laptop. Must have forgotten to close the door. Max says, I thought we agreed to make sure that room was secure. I need to put my stuff back in there anyways. Max walks into the study. The room is filled with hundreds of old books that he and Allison have collected over the years. He sits down his laptop on the desk along with the articles he's been reading. One book in particular had not been moved. A large leather-bound book, which the family kept on a book stand surrounded by a circle of salt. The family is always aware of the book and the evil that searches for it. Reaching out to open the book, Max is startled when his wife walks into the room. Allison says, Max, I'm worried. I didn't want to say anything in front of our son, but this morning I heard a female voice calling for the book. Now Zach says he's hearing a female voice. Could it be her? Is she back? Max says, quickly closing the book cover. He has a vivid imagination. I wouldn't worry about it. Besides, the witches are gone. How do you feel about taking the book back over to the house? The Sanderson house? Really, Max? She says, frustrated. I told you already I don't feel comfortable going back to that house. Last time a candle was lit, our world was turned upside down. I can only imagine what other cursed things are waiting for someone to find in that house. Taking the book back over there can only bring trouble. Now, we're already late. Can we please talk about this later? I need to get your son to school. Max says, I guess you're right. I just wanted the visitors of the house to have the full experience, that's all. Allison says sarcastically, well, why don't you buy a black flame candle for everyone to light? Zach says, Mom, come on, we're going to be late. Max, snickering, you taught him well. Allison says, let's get him to school and then we can deal with the Sanderson Museum. As the family leaves and shuts the front door, the book awakens and the pages begin to flip. A female figure is seen looking in the window. The book is open to the black flame candle spell. At the bottom of the page it reads, should failure find its way to you, the virgin's heir will summon you. The female outside the window disappears and a strange cloud of smoke begins to come through the window sill. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second because then it goes into, another person that we're introducing and all that stuff. So that gives you a bit of what I wrote. Allison and Max obviously got together and stayed together. They have a child. The way I was bringing the sisters back without making it so obvious that it's a sequel and that they're, oh, hey, witches are just coming back. Let's bring them back. It was just to toy with the black flame candle spell in the beginning, that on the actual spell itself, we never see the spell. We don't in the book or throughout the movie or whatever. We see the candle itself. We know the story that if it's lit, but that's it. Winifred doesn't focus on the candle spell. Allison reads it for a little bit, but that's it. And nothing else. So what I had done was it's kind of obvious that it's just a way to get the sisters back, but I just put in there, should failure find its way to you, the virgin's heir will summon you. And I basically wrote that on Zachary's 13th birthday, which happens to be tomorrow, and it's, of course, on Halloween, because what fun is that if it's not Halloween, that his unholy 13th birthday, that he's going to be the one that brings him back, because he is, in fact, blood relative to the virgin who lit the candle the first time. So it was just a little fun way to bring him back. And then we've got some story stuff going on with that. We have a huge battle that ensues between the Sanderson sisters and this not new villain, because she's been there throughout the whole thing. Obviously, she, meaning she's a female character. And it's a fun little twist on it. I end the script with a wedding. And it's upbeat and uplifting, and there's some huge devastation to the Sandersons' house and what is left of the Sandersons' legacy, and just what the town thinks of them, and everything that's been going on over the last couple of years finally comes to a close. And at the very end of it, which I really want to tell you, but I don't want to give away too much yet. But I just have like one of those moments where you just watch the movie and you're just like, okay, I need something to hold me over for the next 20 years until they make another one. And then you kind of get it. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Like, why didn't I think of that? So you're welcome again. And that I just thought was kind of funny. Sarah Jessica Parker, I like her. I like the Sex and the City movies because I just think they're funny. And just, if you're not wealthy and you watch movies like that, it kind of makes you feel wealthy in a way. So Sarah Jessica Parker, her character is Carrie Bradshaw, or Carrie Preston now. So I make Sarah reference Sex and the City in a way that some movies do it and it's kind of cheesy and some don't. And this one is kind of cheesy because one of the characters is Parker Preston. And Parker Preston is getting married, and he is marrying one of the characters. I don't want to give that away yet. But Parker, at his wedding day, Sarah makes a reference to, she says something like Mr. and Mrs. Preston, and she jokes about it, which for Sarah to say that is kind of funny because her character is, in fact, Miss Preston. So it's kind of like a nod if that was to go through. So yeah, trying to think what else I can tell you about the script without giving too much away. Danny is in the film. Zachary Binks is definitely questionable because I think what I wrote, I don't like how I put him back in the film. It was kind of like one of those things, like a quick breakdown of it, my view on it is Zachary died, right, at the very beginning, or the end of the first one. His soul was freed and he went back to his sister or whatever. Okay, well then the next scene is Max, Allison, and Danny putting Billy back into the ground. Okay, well, here's where I get a little confused with this. The magic of the Sanderson sisters brought Billy back to life. Their magic also kept Zachary as a cat. So why, if Zachary dies, is Billy still alive? He should have just been a zombie body, like poof, you're nothing. So a little bit of that kind of bugs me a little bit. So I toyed with the idea that if the Sandersons come back, Zachary would come back as a cat. And then I was just like, well, that's stupid. That ruins the first movie and all this dramatic stuff. And then I got to thinking about the idea of what if Zachary was reincarnated, so to speak, and how would that story go and what you would do. And so I think that was kind of the one I was leaning towards, just because if that actor, it's just a nod to it, I guess. I don't know. But that's what I've got so far, so let me know in the comments below what you think. If you think it's crazy. I've read so much of it that my voice is starting to get raspy, so I'm going to go chug some water and upload this video. It is 24 minutes long, so I hope that 24 minutes was very enjoyable. I hope this video actually loads. I might have to break it up into parts if it doesn't. But Hope you guys like it, and like I said, leave the comments below if you want me to continue reading what I've written. It would be kind of fun if I could get some people that I know that are actually actors to read it through. That would be kind of fun because you wouldn't have to hear my voice read every part. That gets kind of boring. But yeah, we'll see. So I hope you guys like it. Make sure to leave your questions or comments below, and subscribe if you haven't. All right, bye guys.